Yo, I'm Candy, Ivy Knittin, and this week I'm just going to show you a whole bunch of stuff because I feel like it's been a while since I've, just kind of talked about what I've been up to. We had a project deep dive, and then before that I was wrapping up a lot of like big spinning projects. The first thing we have is not a finished object. This is my Treysta by Jen Steingass. I'll put everything's going to be in the description below with links to my Ravelry pattern pages. Have I knitted it to pattern? Yes. Are all the ends woven in? Absolutely. I just need to wash and block it, and I need to decide what I'm going to do about the neckline. The pattern has this kind of unfinished rolled hem situation that's like kind of open at the top. And my initial instinct was, okay, I'm gonna end up picking up stitches and doing a ribbed neckband because that's what I always do. But now I'm like, that's what I always do. Maybe I should kind of give this a chance, but it just feels kind of almost too open. So I want to block it and see what it's gonna look like, how it's gonna lay. And if I feel that I'm gonna always be kind of fidgeting with it or be self-conscious with how open it is, I need to figure out some kind of solution. So I'm either gonna do a very short, like maybe 1/2 inch of ribbing just to bring it in a little bit, because I do like the idea of it being a little bit open, or I've heard of people kind of doing a crochet chain on the inside of the sweater so it still keeps this quality here. But like I said, I just need to figure out if I like this style or if it's a style that I'm willing to at least try to embrace. I do feel like it's feeling a bit loose already just from sitting here trying it on, but I am gonna wash it, block it, lay it out, and make some final decisions. Also, the yoke is a little bit deep, and I feel like it's gonna be like perfect once I kind of bring it up a little bit and it sits a little bit higher. I feel like I made a decision right here now that that's what I'm gonna do, but I do wanna wash it and block it first, so when I put the neckline in, it is exactly how I want it. And now I'm gonna take this off because this is a color work sweater. All right, so why haven't I finished this sweater? Because I feel like the last time we chatted, I was just like, oh, I cast on this colorwork sweater and I'm gonna finish it in just a month and blah, 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 blah. That didn't happen. And if you need like a metaphor or a symbol of why that didn't happen, this is the kind of stuff I've been up to. This is a friend of my children's, and if y'all remember, I knit a sweater for my 5-year-old who is now 6 and some mystery yarn that then felted and bled. And I was just like, it's still a wearable sweater. Maybe she can still fit it this year. Maybe I can put conditioner on it. What can I do? What can I do? And I decided that our friend here was gonna get a new sweater. So what I've done is just cut it straight down the front. I was playing around with doing some like edging on it because I know that that's something that can stop it from fraying. But I'm also like, this is a sweater for a giant panda bear, so I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of effort, but I did play around with some embroidery and stuff. And I did actually have fun with it, so maybe I will kind of embrace more sewing adjacent hobbies. But yeah, I just cut it down the front, cut little sleeves off, and now our friend here has a new sweater. And I feel like my kid is more excited that her bear has a sweater than her having this sweater. Like, she was not like, she was like, oh, that looks like my sweater, and I was like, it is your sweater. And she was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And I'm actually in the process of knitting her a new sweater, and so that's the body of the sweater. You'll notice that the sleeves are missing, and what I've decided to do with the sleeves is I just cut them straight down and made little squares out of them, and these are just going to be coasters. We do a lot of tea drinking and soup sipping, especially this time of year, and so this will be nice to kind of put down on the table. Like I said, this yarn felted so much, the ends are just, like I said, I could go back and finish up the edges really nicely, but there's so many other things that I want to do. couple more finished objects. I have also finished the hat I was working on when I went on a plane this summer. I just cast on a quick and dirty hat, and I found that I had a lot of Stellina, apparently, and Angelina in the air. I had a lot of works in progress, and so I was like, let me just finish some of this stuff. So I decided to go ahead and finish this up. Size 5 needles, kind of a worsted weight yarn. This is like deep stash. This is some of like my oldest yarn. I got this from 757 Creative Reuse in Norfolk, and if you know that store, this is back when they were in their old location, and it was literally right after I first started learning to knit. I went down there to get some thrifted yarn, and it works up like this. It's really nice, but I only have one ball of it, so it's just a fun hat that I think will be good for a child. We're entering the colder months, and this is last year I did a lot of I did quite a few of like just charity knits, just knitting up hats, and I think I want to do that again this year. My kids' school collected hats for social services last year, and so I think it'll be nice to do just a few different things. And then I finished it with a braid. I just took some lengths of yarn, folded it in half, and then braided it, and then tied a little knot at the end, and then kind of frayed out the edges here. And I just thought that that was just a different thing that I hadn't tried before. And I had a hat that had kind of a long braid at a certain point in my life, and I just was inspired by that. So that's that. This yarn I'm not keeping. I'm going to a yarn swap tomorrow, so this will go right into the donate pile because I had my fun with it. If I could find more of this yarn, that would be great. It's like a tweedy acrylic. I'm assuming it was probably some sort of Lion brand. It seems like up their alley of something they would do. Last but certainly not least of the knitted objects I'm going to show you. Speaking of yarn swaps, I have been working on that blanket for my sister-in-law, and I've been using some of that yarn that felted on that sweater, and I'm just like, do I really, she's mature, her kids are older. I'm just like, she'll be fine, I think, with a spot clean or, gentle wash blanket. But I just was not feeling it. And at a certain point I had to be like, is my hobby knitting or is my hobby finishing things and making useful things? And I decided I've had my fun with this yarn. Both of them, it was a Knit Picks yarn and that mystery yarn, and they both came from the thrift store. I had knitted multiple hours on each one. The Knit Picks yarn I actually had frog from a previous project that I didn't wear, and so I was like, I think I've had my fun with this yarn. And so I literally took the blanket, all the squares that I had made, put them in a bag, and they're going to the yarn swap tomorrow to someone new. And after I put them in the bag, I immediately felt 100 kajillion% better. Like, sometimes I put things in donation piles and I'm like, oh, I kind of still want it, I don't know. And I was just like, no, I don't want this. So since then, if this is any indication of how much that yarn was bothering me, since then I have completely finished a blanket for my sister-in-law. And it took me, like, literally my hands were aching because I was having so much fun knitting on this. And this is a bulky weight blanket, just of my own design. This is 4 colors of Lion brand respun that I got from the craft reuse store. And I got 4 balls of it. And yeah, it's the recycled polyester, 100% respun thick and quick, 340 grams, 223 yards per ball. And I had these 4 colors. So what I did is I cast on with one color, and then I just knit until vibes, and then I started striping in the next color and just did little sets of stripes with no rhyme or reason. And then once the first color was done, did a little bit of solid with the next color, then striped with the next color, a little bit of solid with the next color. Boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, and then weighed it at the end, left enough to cast off. And this is, and I think this is exactly what she was looking for. She's like, I want something soft and squishy. She wanted chenille, and I was like, I'm not making you a chenille blanket, but this is definitely going to work for her. All I need to do now is I have two sister-in-laws. Well, I have several sister-in-laws, but my Mr. Rulud has two sisters. And so this is for older sister, and I feel like I can't knit older sister a big old blanket without knitting younger sister a big old blanket. And so I'm now working on little sister's blanket, which is downstairs. And once they're both done, I'm gonna wash them together and gift them together, because that's just how I roll. I wouldn't feel comfortable just bringing them one blanket. And let me see, can I get this all together in one fun shot? This is all I have left of this yarn. And let's see if I can tell you. The blue is faded denim. The reddish color is dark cherry. It's kind of like reddy purple maroony. This light pink color is desert sand. And then this kind of lavendery color is acai. And I'm gonna hold on to these scraps because as I said, I'm doing like some cherry knitting, and so I want to hold on to the bulky stuff to make some bulky hats. And we're big the Bear fans in this family, the Bear, the show, not the football team. And if you're familiar with that show, Sydney, on one of the episodes, she wears this big bulky knit hat, and each stripe is a different color. And so I want to hold on to all of my bulky weight scraps and try to like recreate that same look. And so this is actually going to go down in a bucket, one of these buckets. I'm gonna put in this bucket for now, and then sort out my bulky weight yarn later. And so that is this. I did enjoy working with this yarn. I'm not, I use whatever yarn is called for in a project. So it's a blanket that's gonna go over someone's couch. Acrylic is fine. The only thing about this yarn is because it's I don't know if it's because it's the respun or if it's just the nature of something that happened in the Lion brand, because these were in the thrift store and they were like if y'all remember, they were like sealed in bags. And so I don't know if they were like discounted for some kind of reason, but there were like little bits of plastic, which if you don't know, acrylic yarn is plastic. So, and this is made out of recycled plastic. So there were like just kind of plastic fibers kind of floating around as I was knitting with this. Just something to watch out for. The yarn itself was fine though. No other big complaints beside that. And so that is donezo. And we're just gonna keep making piles of crap over here. And so now we're gonna get into the fiber portion of the show. And well, I guess we'll do transition from knitting to fiber. So one of the big spinning projects I finished recently was this taupe yarn. Oh, is this the right yarn? I'm not sure. It's crazy how like when you start hand spinning, you're like, I know what skein I'm looking for. This is some yarn I spent the last probably 9 months at this point spinning on drop spindles for a sweater for my husband. And this is taupe yarn taupe fiber that I got from RH Lindsay. And RH Lindsay, I've explained this before, but they are I think they're in Pennsylvania somewhere, or New Jersey, one of those places. And they just gather fiber from shepherds in the east of the United States. And they blended all the taupe or brown fibers into one fiber and sold it by the pound. And I bought a pound of it. And then I have spun it up into a 2-ply, and it came out really nice. Like, it was just a little bit kind of, had some dusty dirt to it. It still needed to be cleaned a little bit, which I don't mind. It's comes from an animal. And so once I washed it, it kind of had like almost a golden quality to it. And I'm really excited. The issue is, Mr. Rulud is 5'11", 40-inch chest circumference, fairly long arms, fairly long torso, and he's not gonna want a cropped sweater. And so I think I don't think. I'm gonna be short on yardage. I need about 1,200 yards to knit a sweater for him. And my rough estimate of before I washed this and thwacked it was that it was about 900 yards. And I could probably play around with gauge, but at this point, if I haven't even started to knit yet, and y'all know that I like to play roulette with my yarn, in my heart of hearts, I know I don't have enough yardage. And so I started thinking about what I'm gonna do. I could get some more taupe from Orange Lindsay. There's no guarantee the color quality will be exactly the same, but it's brown from a sheep. I can make this work. There's also commercial yarns that are, you know, similar weight to this. If you're living on the planet right now, you probably know that, you know, yarn and fiber are getting a little bit more expensive. Life is getting a little bit more expensive. So I was just like, how about I look and see if I can make this work with what I have at hand and not try to buy something. And so randomly, I'm just sitting on YouTube, and this YouTuber I never watched before came up in my suggestions, and his name is Etienne. It's like Etienne. I'm gonna have him linked below. And it was a video about dyeing with walnuts. He has walnut trees in his yard, and he was dyeing some yarn with walnuts. And I was like, huh. And literally right before this, I had gone through my stash, like every quarter, we're in September, by the way. Every quarter I try to go through my stash, clean everything up, take account of everything. And I realized, I was like, I have a lot of undyed white wool. Maybe I can make this work. And so I was watching his video about dyeing with walnut, and long story short, I live in Virginia in the United States, and we're actually known for our walnut trees. And so I found some walnut trees. Check your local legislator if you want to go and find walnuts, you know, or ask a friend who has a walnut tree. Long story short, I found some walnuts. I had this undyed cheviot. It's white cheviot, which is my favorite yarn to knit with. And this, like I said, this is like just northeastern American sheep. So this is just mixed breed, but it has kind of, you know, it's coarser. It's a bit rougher. And so I did the cheviot. Cheviot definitely has more of a coarser texture. And so I dyed this with some walnuts. I have about 150 grams. I weighed my walnuts, and I got maybe 600, 700 grams of walnuts. I believe, I read somewhere, and it's just kind of like a thing I always go by, like 1 pound of natural dye stuff for every 100 grams of wool. And so a little over a pound, so I dyed a little over a pound. And all I did, I have a crock pot that I just use for dyeing wool, and cooked the walnuts in there until the color dissipated into the water. Then I soaked the fiber in there, and this is what came out. It is brown, and then you can see I made like a braid, and so wherever the braid was covering, it's kind of like a lighter yellower color, which the guy in the YouTube video said is quite common to get more of a yellowy brown. And he said that you can add iron if you want more of a gray brown. And so I am on the hunt for more walnuts. I'm always like, now I'm like, because I love how this came out, and I could use this for anything. I could do this all day. And so I do want to try it with iron next time to see if I can get closer to this brown. But this brown actually has bits of white in it. So I'm thinking I can take the browniest brown bits, like the darkest bits of here, and blend it with some of the still undyed cheviot I have, and kind of make this work. If not, there's no love lost. It's just an experiment. But I think it's gonna work nicely, especially if I, you know, with a big sweater, striping things together. I think I can do it. So if you have walnuts that are local to you, definitely give that a try and check out that guy's video. He actually did walnuts, and he did leaves and from his walnut trees. They're his walnut trees in his yard, so he was like cutting down the walnut trees in order to clean up his yard. I do not recommend you go to a public place that has trees and start ripping leaves off. The walnuts I took were falling to the ground walnuts, not damaging a plant to get the walnuts. And so that's that. I can at least get started and start swatching and just kind of see. But like I said, this is a pretty, I mean, it's a natural taupe brownish wool. I can find more of this specific color, but I thought I would be remiss if I didn't at least try to do it with what I have around the house. That being said, I have been experimenting a lot. Broke out the old drum carder. You can see I got a whole bunch of fiber happening here. It just kind of like this natural thing happens as it starts getting cooler outside. I start being like, okay, time to spin, start playing with fiber. I just finished like a bunch of different spinning projects on all of my different devices. And so I'm just like, okay, time to have fun with fiber. What am I doing next? Pulled out all my fiber. I have this little bag here. These are called fiber wisps. And I got these from the very first time I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, which I believe was in 2021. And looking at my stash, this is the only thing from that trip to Maryland Sheep and Wool that I haven't used. Like I haven't knitted all of the yarn I've spun, but I've at least spun all the fiber that I bought there. And this is Avalon Springs Farm. And they just have like a little baggie of different bits and bobs of fiber. And it was like $8, which I think is a great price for something like this. And so it's like a mixture of alpaca and yak and a lot of wool, a lot of mohair. And I was just kind of looking in here to see if I could get some like inspiration for colors. Because I have a drum carder, I have hand cards, I have all kinds of different fiber, I have all different colors of fiber. But I'm still kind of learning what colors go well together and how to blend things in such a way that I can, you know, like if you're ever wondering, oh, why do bats cost so much money? Why do Rolex cost so much money? Why do these braids cost so much money? It is a talent to be able to put colors together in such a way that not only the braid looks good, but then when you spin it up and then when you knit it up, it looks like, oh wow, this is intentional. This is something special. And so I am trying to like kind of up my game in that area. And so I pulled out this piece here, which I thought was interesting. It's got like magenta, it's got some light purples, and it's got like this streak of orange in it. And then it's got some like darker wool and like kind of like this silky bit of like very dark something in it. And so I was just like, oh, let me kind of use this as a base. And so I just kind of started playing on my drum carder with all the different colors of fiber I have. And this is what I came up with. In case you don't do fiber prep, this is called a bat. It's what comes off of the drum carder. And so I've got some like kind of light pink silky bits I have. There's some orange in here. Can I open this up? There's like some sparkly Angelina Stellina in here. I just have like a little bin, which I showed y'all like a few episodes ago, of my little bin of mix-ins and scraps. And so, yeah, there's orange in here, there's blue in here. And so I was kind of playing around with that, made a few bats of that. Then I've been playing around with what they call like optical dyeing, where you're not, where you're just blending two different colors of wool together in such a way that like you have a red and you have a blue, and each one's red and each one's blue, but when you blend the fibers together consistently and blend them really smoothly, your eyes start to see purple because the red and the blue are coming together. And so I've been kind of wanting to experiment with that this year, and you can guess what color I was trying to make. And so it kind of started with this because I have a lot of red, and I used to love red. Red was one of my favorite colors growing up, and I just don't knit with it a lot. I don't reach for a lot because it is so like dominating. And so I started off with some white and some red together and just kind of kept blending them. And I found that it takes just a little bit of color, and you don't want to, like I was grabbing like handfuls of fiber and blending them together, and it's just like, no, you want to start with some manageable amounts and then just a little bit of color and then blending the color a little bit at a time. So this was a little bit ambitious. It kind of looks kind of pink, but it's still a lot of red and white, and I feel like I would have to blend this a lot to get the quality I'm looking for. Then I was dyeing with some Kool-Aid, and because I have a lot of like just primary colored fiber, and so I had this yellow fiber, and I was just like, let me see if I can get kind of like a braid, and I kind of wanted to do some speckling with the Kool-Aid, because usually I just like dunk like the brown I have there. I usually just put the whole thing in, and I'm trying to like over dye it. But I was like, let me try to get some pockets of color, and so I ended up with this, and then I had all kinds of Kool-Aid left over, and so then I just started grabbing some fiber, like just some plain Coopworth fleece that I have, and I was just soaking up the rest of the red dye that I had left over from trying to make orange, and I made this. And this is like, I think it's like dark cherry Kool-Aid, and it's fine. I feel like pink is really tricky because I love pinks, but I'm trying to find like the right pink, and this is a little bit cotton candy-y, a little bit like Pepto-Bismol-y, and it has a bit of an orangey quality to it. And I kind of was looking for, I think like more of like a ballet pink, because let me back up. My ultimate goal is to have fiber that can work together, because I buy a lot of individual skeins or individual fiber braids, and then I'm buying this here, buying this there, and I have yarn that I've spun already. And so I'm trying to find like some cohesion. And so I'm like, okay, what colors can bring this together? Pink goes with most things in my book. I feel like pink's a neutral. And so I was just like, I don't really want Pepto-Bismol. I want more of like a ballet slipper. And so what I did was, I have all of this Coopworth that I got from Maryland Sheep and Wool. And so I just started blending plain white Coopworth with the pink. And so I've got this like more like subtle pale pink that I think is going to work well with maybe this, because I wanted something that was kind of like lighten this up a little bit, because this is kind of like intense dark colors. We'll see. But it's all just having fun right now. It's not like, and that's what I'm trying to do, is like experiment, have fun, maybe learn some things along the way, see what works, see what doesn't work, instead of like being like, oh, everything has to be perfect, or everything has to, I have to wait to be a master at some things. And so that's been that. And yeah, I had this bag of Coopworth, and I don't know what I was thinking, which could be like the name of my memoir. I washed it, but then I never really processed it. And so I need to kind of go back and run this through the drum carder. And I think what I was thinking was that these weren't the best bits of fleece I have. I have some Coopworth that I have in some really nice roving braids and nest and stuff. And I think this was like kind of, not throwaway, but not the best. And I think it had some lanolin stains on it. And so I think I put this in this bag just for dyeing. And so I'm just gonna continue to play, continue to have a good time. And then that was the other thing too. I pulled this out. This is some Valentine's Day yarn that I spun up, maybe 150 grams of different pinks and reds, and that I think that's gonna be able to stretch this into a project. A lot of stuff like this where I have just something I bought randomly, and so I think this will be a good idea for that. Last but certainly not least, I've been just on this path of trying to learn how to use my electric wheel and what my electric wheel would be best for. And so I've been putting Rolags on there, because I was like, oh, maybe I would like to do a long draw on that, because I found the short forward just to be really tedious on it. That was before I finished this. So remember the pink and the yellow and the orange. Now you know why I'm trying to tie things together. I finished this. This is Starburst from Black Smoke Fiber, and this is Merino, and this is a 4-ply I did on my electric eel wheel. My first 4-ply, did it on my electric eel wheel. So for reference, This is a 2-ply on my drop spindle. This is a 4-ply on my electric wheel. I'm in love. And now that I know this is what the, like, I'm like, okay, this might be worth the tedium of the electric wheel, because this is like a sport weight 4-ply bananas. And it looks like, because when you do 4 plies together, everything just comes out so much rounder, so much smoother, so much more consistent. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be worth the tedium to do that. But now I see the results, and now I'm excited. So now I'm like, okay, I can do this. And so, a lot of, yeah, this is the tits right here. Excuse my French. The only thing is, I did the 4-ply, and then I ended up with some leftovers, and so I made a 2-ply, and then I was just like, I wonder if I could make a center pull ball and then do a 4-ply from a 2-ply center pull ball. That works, but I think I messed up the direction I was spinning on my wheel, and so it's like super cringe. So I think I need to run it back through the wheel counterclockwise, because this is very much twisted the wrong direction. But maybe this could be of some use, but it's also just a little bit of leftovers, and so it's not the end of the world, but worth it to learn. And I'm gonna stop there and clean up my craft room, because now I can put all the stuff away after I show it. This is probably gonna go into some pillowcases so it doesn't get crushed. But yeah, what are you up to? Do you have like something that like just activates in you in the fall, that you're like, okay, we're doing this kind of project now, that the garden is dying, I'm going inside and playing with fleece now? Any big plans for fall? Let me know. You can do that down below in the comments. You can email me, candibknittin@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Instagram. I'm at Rulude on Instagram. candibknittin on Blue Sky, which I haven't used Blue Sky in a while. So if you use Blue Sky, hit me up and let me know, and then we can connect on Blue Sky and we can make that work. I've also, like I said before, candibknittin on Ravelry, and I've actually been updating projects and updating my spinning and updating my stash on there. So definitely hit me up on there. Until next time, peace.